Hello, my name is Bo Poulsen. Today we are going to talk about surfcasting multipliers and what to look for when you buy one. This is the first video in a series about how to get started with surfcasting and surf fishing. But let's head out into the workshop. To show you why I don't like fixed spool reels. It's a small one, but beach casting fixed spool reel is a lot bigger and more clumsy. That's one of the things. The other thing is you have the shaft going here, and it's only hung up in the other end, so you don't have a fixed point here in the other end like you have on a multiplier. Here you have a multiplier, and here you have the spool. In here there is should be a ball bearing, and there should be one in the other end. There is on this reel as well, and it's sitting here in the middle, and it sits on this spindle here, so it has a point here for support and a point here. So it's a very compact reel and a very rigid one. That's why I use these, and also the bail arm on the fixed spool reel, flip over, and then you'll get a crack off or something worse. All right. When you have to pick a multiplier, then I would suggest that you contact your local fishing club to see what they're using at the venue you are going to fish, and what kind of fish you're going to catch and how big they are. They're going to determine what reel you're going to choose. Here you have a level wind that's going to spread out the line while you're retrieving, and it takes up energy, so you don't want that on a surf casting reel. Then you're just gonna lay the line by using your thumb. So always a CT frame like this one. Right. About braid on island. This is right, and this here is braid. Braid is very good for sea fishing from a boat with jigs and so on, speed jigging and so on. But the thing is, on a multiplier, nylon has a certain amount of give in it, so it's more flexible. And I'll get back to you later why I use nylon. What you can do if you want to have a lot of backing, or a lot of line on your reel, you can have, for example, here in the inside, you can have braid as backing, and then you only have as much line as you're going to cast. For example, maybe 150 meters here on top of it. So then you have a lot of line to fight the fish, and then of course you'll have your shock leader and tackle and so on. But that's what you're gonna talk to them about in the local club. I don't like braid on multiplier. So except if for sea fishing from a boat. About line capacity, you want to have 250 to 300 meters of line. So again, the fish and the structures on the bottom, and what size of reel are you going to use? Are you going to use a small one, or are you going to use a fairly large one? And well, they have different advantages, of course. One of the things about the line capacity, I say about 250 meters, is that there is something called the line level drop speed. I'll get back to you why. Alright. What I don't like about these reels, like this one, is that when you turn the handle, it can go into the gear. So if you actually touch the handle, then you're probably gonna have a crack off. And a crack off is when the line breaks during the cast and the sinker is just flying away. What you can do here with these reels, like the Aber Ambassador, is you can file a groove here, so you can push in and then up. But I still suggest that you loosen the start rack, then it doesn't go into gear like this. And then you push it down, and then you can turn the handle so it goes into gear again. Just to avoid that. A reel should be like this. You have a lever where you can disengage the gear system from the spool, because then you don't have accidents. I see some reels when you turn the handle, it flips over, and it shouldn't be like that. The perfect surf casting reel is still to be made, in my opinion. Here you have this pin. I don't know if, yeah, like there and there. And it is where the gear is getting in. You can see it here. These grooves. And when I push them up, it just disengages that, so it's just moving to the side. Yeah. Here on this reel, it looks different. He is just flattened. He has just filed something off. And it looks like this in here. And then the lever is moving it away. Good. This is a level drag reel. It is for boat fishing. It's unsuitable for casting from the beach. So you want a start rack like this one. It's actually a very old multiplier from the 1950s. It is, yeah, quite well made actually, but yeah, it is a quality reel actually. The start rack here, where you adjust the pressure on the clutch, so to speak, so the line, so the fish can take line, it should be smooth. If you see suddenly see the rod tip doing like this when it's taking line, so it's a jerking motion, then there is grease or oil or dirt between the drag plates in there. So then you know you have to take the reel apart, but that is for a later video. The spool could rotate on a spindle. Here you have the spool and the spindle is fixed to each other, so it's making it very heavy. And you have a ball bearing here, and this one has ball bearing in the side as well. Here I have another example, one with fixed spindle, and this one here is sitting on the spindle. It's important that you have this kind of reel, and often on the heavier multipliers they tend to make it like this, but again, this is weighing more than this one, so it takes more energy to get this one up into speed than the other one, so it affects your casting distance. The spool should always have ball bearings in it, and this one has on both sides here. A thing that's nice to have on a multiplier is this. This is a line out alarm, so if you are fishing, for example, after conger or something like that, and you actually loosen your starter a bit, so it is in gear, and then if a fish takes a bait, then you hear this, just to give it some time before you set the hook. There's different reel foot designs, and this one is made of some sort of plastic, and it's or graphite. It's not very strong. I don't like these. Another thing I don't like about this reel is where the gear housing is placed, because if you're casting with the reel up, and I do that when I'm just using it for spinning mackerel feathers, then my finger and knuckles is hitting this, and it's not very pleasant. I have another one I'd like to show you. You can see it's moved forward here. Instead of sitting here, it's moved forward, so don't have that problem. Yeah, this reel foot I like because it's wide, and when it sits on the rod, it sits more stable when you're using coasters. This one here is, you see there's a file grooved down here for coasters. And coasters can look, for example, like this. So here it sits pretty well. What I do when I cast, I have this, it's just some bicycle tubing, pull up around the reel. So, like for example this, so when I have to cast. So then I can hold the spool still. What you can see here, the black here is actually from this bicycle tubing, so this would be skin if you didn't use that. The reel foot is not wide enough, so it sits a bit unstable on the when you tighten it down compared to the other one. I hope you can see the difference here. It's quite significant. There is some rules about how a reel foot should be made from, it's actually American Fishing Tackle Manufacturing Association. So there's some rules about this. But I think that you should make a different reel foot. I think they should make one for coasters that's longer here backwards. I'll see if I can show you what I mean. When I should grab a reel, I should have this knuckle on top, and then grab around the reel. I will have problems with straightening my lower elbow, well, the arm, the elbow on the arm that's low. Due to, you can see the coaster is sitting in here under the reel. If they made a reel foot longer, then the coaster could sit there. What I tend to do is turning the coaster to the side. This one. And then I have a spare coaster here as using as a trigger. Then I can get a really firm and deep grip, and I keep my left elbow totally straight, so when I rotate around to make a long push-pull with my arms, I can make a really good one. Now we're gonna have to talk about overruns and crack-offs. When we start casting, when we let go of the spool, it's rotating up to maybe around 20,000 RPM. And if the spool is rotating faster, then the line is dragged away from the area by the sinker. Then you will have line here, and then it will actually make an overrun, so it's like a bird's nest. It can also be caused by casting flaws, but that is for another video. So we need to make sure that the spool doesn't run faster than the line is getting moved away from the spool area. It can also create a crack off when the line tank makes a bird's nest, and then it locks it, and then the pressure on the line is going to be too high and it's going to break off. We want to avoid that. So to slow down the reel, they have done different different things over the years. This old one is actually nearly nothing of brakes in that. I'll show you what it looks like. This is a brilliant cam lock system, and I don't know why not more manufacturers use this system. It's brilliant. Easy access to the spool. I'll see if I can get it loose. It's a little more out here. Let's loosen it. Twist it back, and there you have these pins around. They go into these grooves, and here there is. It's not even as a bearing. I don't think it's a ball bearing at all. It's just the oil thickness that determines the speed of the spool. So you want to use thick oil to avoid overruns. And they also cast with only as much line as they were needed, and in a high diameter. I would say it would be something like maybe 0.50 or 0.45, I guess, compared to this one. This is 0.45 main length. But the cam lock system here is so brilliant. Here you see this one. That's for the clicker, the line out alarm. Sitting there. That one. Go in, so it clicks. Actually, I don't. This old pen reel, and the slogan is "Make it simple, make it work," and I think it's brilliant. I don't use this for casting. I just have it. I think it's a fun reel to have. So that's oil viscosity that has to match the tolerance in the ball bearings. There is a lot of talk about bearings for tournament casting and file tolerances, but the thing is, with a finer tolerance between the bearings and the bearing, the ball in the bearing and the bearing, is you have to use a thinner oil. But say one thing: as long as you can get an overrun, you don't need to have finer bearings or anything. It's just matching itself out. Well, even itself out, because if you have fine tolerance, you need thinner oil. So here on the side you have here the tension knob, and we're actually present on the spindle, and this one down here, I might take this off, it's easier to understand. This one is pushing in on that bearing there, so you get a side pressure over to the side here. You can see the bearing coming out. Yeah, right. And it should, for surf casting, you want to have a little give to the sides. If you are using for just casting plugs, then you adjust it so much that when it hits the water, well, tightens it up so much so when it hits the water, it stops the spool. But we don't want that in surf. We just see when it's land and then hold our finger. When I cast during the night time, what I actually do is I know how far I cast. So basically, if I'm in doubt, then I go out there a little before dark and make a couple of casts, and I count when I loosen the spool, I lose my finger. It's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and then I see the sinker lands on the surface. I stop the spool. So I know I have to count to 25 from 21, so I can do that in the darkness as well. All right. So centrifugal braking, yeah. Just have to make sure that you can see this. This is brake blocks. This is made of some sort of plastic. I have a picture I'm going to put in the video showing why this should not be made of plastic, but some sort of synthetic material. What happens is that when the spool goes up in RPM, it's getting pushed out to the side. And when it does that, they are actually meeting this one. So you have a braking here. It slows them down due to the friction when they hit this. This reel, I have a lot of brake blocks in, and I have full magnets on also. It is because I use it for some demonstration purposes. Normally I would say one brake block and maybe 2 or 3 magnets for a reel like this. This is the speed, and this is amount of braking. The curve goes like this. So high speed, and then it suddenly kicks in and breaks down a lot. That magnetics we're going to talk about now, it's a linear. The magnets, yeah, I have this demonstration wheel. I have full magnets on. I wouldn't put so many magnets in it. So when I push the slider, it moves away from the spool. And the closer the magnet is to the spool, the more it slows down the spool. I have another version here. This is a knobby, it's called. So you actually move it away. When you cast a reel, like for example this knobby, you don't know where to put it, so you have to ease it off because there's no scale. And people remember by pictures in the mind. So I don't like that there are no scales on it. This one, Here's the scale. And on the later models, the designer thought this would look good. Just doesn't error filling out. So now I don't know where to put it, except I have to count the clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that ain't wise. This one has the same problem. You have to count the clicks. It's not. With this reel, I know that if I start there, with the viscosity of oil having these bearings, unless it's really a hard headwind, it's a good place to start. And then when it's really I have a wind in the back and use this, and then maybe go to this depending on the day. I like this system. One of the problems with this reel is the placing, where it's located, the slider. I'll show it on this reel. Well, when I cast with it low down on the handle, I use my left hand. I can accidentally loosen the magnetics here. You see this? So I don't like that. When you're retrieving line, you don't want a reel where you have the knob sitting here where the palm should be. I have another one here. See the difference? Here there is room for it. This reel had a extremely lousy centrifugal brake, and it was not made strong enough, and the brake blocks was made of plastic. They were melting. Horrible. And then, but then I bought this one to modify it. This is a magnetic. There is some people around around the world that do modify reels and or sell spares and with good instruction about how to go on with it. Yeah. Yeah. Another placement of the magnetic brake is this one. This is Pen 515 Mark II. Here you have the line out lamp, and you have the magnetic braking, and you have some sort of scale around. The unit says more or less, and you could loosen the magnetic braking during the cast. I like the placement of the location of the magnetic adjustment knob. Maybe it should be a little higher, this one, so it's easier when you got cold fingers. But when you retrieve, your palm is here, and it's nice. This old ABU ambassador reel is located here, and it has a camlock system to open up into the spool. Great. You can even lose it during the cast. This would be a great solution on the modern reels. The line level drop speed determines the spool's self-braking effect. And what does that mean? Well, if you imagine two spools here, this one is twice as wide than this one. If we imagine that we have the same diameter of line on these two spools, then this one would empty first, but it will have a higher RPM to deliver the line during the cast. So it goes down here, and then the spool has to run faster and faster and faster to deliver the line. And that has a self-braking effect. Over here, the line level drop will go slower to deliver the same amount of line. So it ain't so stable to avoid overruns. So then again, as I said earlier in the video, when you have around 250 to 300 meters of line on the reel, then it makes pretty good sense. I have two different reels. This one is a diver, and this one is an old Able Ambassador. This one has a more narrow design, narrow spool design than this one. There was one time I made a test for a fishing magazine. Take a look at this. This was another reel. I can't remember what was the manufacturer of this one. But with 0.2 millimeter line, I cast 103 with a modern multiplier. And over here with 0.26 millimeter line, the old Able I showed you, I was casting 102 meters. It has a more narrow design. But as you can see here, the distance from the center to the lip of the spool is longer than over here. So this one has a longer lever, and you know that when you need to, there's something that's stuck and you need to have a wrench or something like that, the longer the handle on the wrench, the easier it is to get loose. And here, the longer lever means that there's less energy is going to be used to get the spool up to speed. So one thing to consider. Yeah, then this again I need to talk about brake block materials. There's I put in a clip here, and you can see there's fiber blocks on the left, and to the right there is some plastic blocks. You see how they are melted. So also an important thing. For example, this reel, I have the right blocks in it. This is a rebuilt 7000 Ambassador. It's a Model C. It's I cut off the level wind and put another spacer in here to make it stable. It is possible some places to get a real CT frame for them, but I haven't been able to get hold of it. The spool and the spindle are one, so it ain't the best casting reel. But here you see the brake blocks. There's 3 small ones moving on a metal needle, and these are of some sort of fiber. They are very good. Here you should imagine a spool where you, with your thumb, you have laid the line, but not evenly. So it's slanting down here. So here you have a low diameter, and here you have a high diameter. This is the center of the spool. So imagine that you cast out, and the spool is rotating up into speed. When it comes over here, it has to rotate faster to deliver the same amount of line. So it goes up in speed, and that's fine. But the problem is when it goes the other way around, all the way back here, because now the spool is rotating faster than line is moved away from the reel area, and you're gonna have a bird's nest. so it's important to have an even line lay. No humps, no nothing. And again, the nylon is more forgiving for small humps like that compared to, for example, braid. On my channel there is a small video showing a test of mini camera. Put a small spy camera in front of the reel, and you can see actually the line, how it jumps off the spool, even on the lower side towards the rod. Very important. As you can see, there is no perfect reel. It's not made yet, so I hope that the manufacturers would take these points to them, or maybe hire me as a reel designer. I like to show what reels I use. This is 0.35 line. I use that for my light bass rod. Is 5,500. For the heavier bass rod, I use this again, the 0.35 line. It's a 6,500, although it says 5,500. It's just another side plate. Don't worry about it. You see the width difference. Yeah. For normal of my beach work, I use this reel, the Pen 515 Mark II. It is a good reel for clean beaches. I don't like the high and narrow reel foot on it. I think the spool could be maybe a little more fine-tuned. Yeah, that's basically it. I think it's a decent reel, not too expensive either, and looks kind of pretty. I know they are up in version 4 now, but they have a different knob on it, and there's no scale on it. For a little heavier work, when I have mixed ground, I have this the 525 Mark II, and I have 0.38 millimeter on it. It would be also fine with a 0.40. Yeah. For mix to ground to a little rougher, I have this reel, 0.40 millimeter line. It's a very rugged reel, decent casting reel, but yeah, again, they have made it better. A fine scale on it. It would be nice looking reel, strong. For the real rough ground, I have for main line is 0.35 line. I use this pen. It's called a 535, but I don't like the placement of the knobby. It should be here. The spool and the spindle is 1 unit. It's also wrong. I have the old 7000 also with the 0.45 line. I don't like this, that it could go into gear if you turn the handle. Again, the spool and the spindle is 1 unit. It's like this. It's too heavy. But again, this is what's on the market. And the third one also for this kind of diameter line, I have this SE line /X 30 SXV, where I have changed from a centrifugal braking to a magnetic, but then the outer line I had to sacrifice that one. So, but the fight brake is great on this, but I don't like the placing of the gear. If you have the reel in the up position, I usually don't have that for heavy work. So, as you can see, the perfect surf casting reel is not easy to find. now it's raining. Well, now I hope that you have gotten the information you need to have an opinion about what kind of multiplier you want to buy. But again, talk with the local club and they can give you some advice. Maybe there is a quality multiplier you can buy from one of them, so it's going to be cheaper for you to get started with it. In the next one, we're going to take a look at what different kind of rods there is and what to buy, and again, a beginner's guide. Take care, see you another time.